Hey everybody, Clay Archer, CEO, DPC Technology. I've got a great one today. It's new camera day. Today, I've got the new G6 Pro Dome. So this is the first time that UniFi's ever used the Pro designation on a dome, and just like with the bullets, the Pro version gets zoom. Not only does this get zoom, but it gets a new, larger sensor size. And the cool thing about a bigger sensor is they do better in low light. You'll have to wait till later in the video, but I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with the results. So to go over what's new with the sensor, I'm gonna jump into store.ui.com real quick, and I'm gonna do a quick comparison. To do a comparison, all you have to do is choose the different cameras that you want to and click compare, and it will do a quick comparison. Now I can only do 4 at a time, and so there are going to be more than just these 4 cameras in this review. But for now, I did the G6 Pro Dome, the AI Dome, the G6 Dome, and the G5 Dome Ultra. I think these are the dome cameras that most people are buying in 2025. So you can see the new G6 Pro Dome is $499 versus the AI Dome's $399, $279, and $129. First thing you'll notice right off the bat that this is a wider at the base, but a little bit more squat camera than the AI Dome. And the AI Dome was bigger than the G6 Dome, which was bigger than obviously the very small compact G5 Dome Ultra. To the spec sheet, it has the same IR emitter distance than the AI Dome and a little bit better than G6 Dome and better still yet than the G5 Dome Ultra. I will test this out, and one of the things that plague domes in general is IR emitter kind of cast on the dome itself. Again, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised when we get to that part of the review. Zoom mode is only available on the G6 Pro Dome, and it does 2.36 times optical zoom, which is pretty cool. Face license plate and smart detections are all the same as they are on the AI Dome and the G6 Dome. The field of view is a little bit wider and a little bit taller at open wide. So it's 113.8 degrees versus 109 degrees on the AI Dome and the G6 Dome. And the G6 Dome Ultra is only 102 and 61 degrees in the vertical versus 56 and 56 and 54. Respectively. At tele is 45 degrees and 25, but there is no zoom to compare in any other models. Weatherproofing is IP66 for the G6 and AI models, and tamper resistance is IK10 for all the AI and G6 models, and IK06 for the G5 Dome Ultra. You can check out the mounting options if there's anything you need in your specific use case. It is Ethernet port, but that really probably doesn't make that much of a difference. Standard image settings for the new cameras and a little bit less in the G5 Dome Ultra. 30 frames per second on all. The G6s and AIs are all 8 megapixels, while the G5 Dome Ultra is a 4 megapixel camera. And the big kicker here is this 1/1.2 inch 8 megapixel sensor, which is bigger than the 1/1/8 sensor in the AI Dome and the G6 Dome. And the G5 Dome Ultra has a 1/2.4 inch sensor. You can see the lens here and the variable f-stops at the different focal lengths. For power consumption, it's 15 watts, 10 watts, 9.2 watts, and 4.2 watts, right on down the line there. And this is a PoE Plus device. Note that for your switching and whatever power injection you need there. Like the AI Dome, this does support edge recording, so you could put an SD card in it, and if for whatever reason it disconnects from the NVR, it will still record to that chip internally. As you can see there, it's quite a bit of difference for this $100 price increase on it. But with that, let's get this unboxed. We'll throw it up on the test rig, and we'll give this thing a good run through. All right, so typical beautiful UniFi packaging here. Always fun to rip the box open. Inside, you'll see the dome itself. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a bigger unit than the previous domes. On the back side, there's a pass-through for the Cat6 cable to be connected. Inside of the kit, you'll also find a template. You also find the metal backing plate, and there is a second metal backing plate that you would put behind like a ceiling tile so that you could firmly cinch it down. Also, you'll find a desiccant pack. You'll find a screwdriver. You'll find a wrench. The wrench is for the nut that goes on the grommet. I'll do a quick little overlay here of the grommet and how you would put one in and then cinch it down with the wrench. We did not use that here because obviously we're doing this inside. That is to weatherproof the installation. And then you get a series of grommets and that nut to cover the grommet and a set of instructions. So Daniel and Ganit threw the metal backing plate up on the test rig, and they passed through the Cat6 cable. Show you how easy it is to mount this once you've got that there. You can see there's a little metal retaining screw that has to hit a little metal plate. And so you line it up and it just clicks right in. And then you use the included screwdriver to cinch down that screw against that back metal plate. It's super easy. I will tell you for this demonstration, Daniel took the lanyard off. The lanyard comes already on the unit and you would want to keep that on. It's pretty easy to install it with there. It just got in the way for filming. So I definitely would not remove that as part of your installation process. Once you got a unit up, then you just simply align the UniFi logo with the front of it. You push it up and kind of twist it just a little bit, and there it goes. It goes right in. You'll notice the little light goes to the little window there that the light works through. And then you just cinch it down with the screws that are provided, and there you go. It's a full install. While we had the cover off, I had Daniel show you how to adjust the pan and tilt of it. You simply just move the unit around and tilt it up and down. Pretty simple. You can see on the unit itself there's a reset button and a mini SD card reader. There's a receptacle for the grommet and the nut that goes over it to cinch it down. And then there's the RJ45 adapter for the gigabit Ethernet. And there's a labeled area on the front of the unit that says place desiccant here. That desiccant package there, and if you're in a high humidity area and you might get humidity inside the dome. The nice thing about this being a bigger unit is there is plenty of room for all these activities inside of the unit itself, so you don't feel like you're cramped or that anything inside of here is very difficult to do. But anyways, that's a review of the unit and how you install it. Let's jump into the software and see how this thing performs. All right, so it's about 4:45 in the office. Please excuse our mess. We are coming down off the Windows 10 end of life install craziness, so the office is covered in boxes, but that's a good thing. Working hard. Go ahead and turn this on to high quality, and you can see the image here on the G5 Pro Dome is quite amazing. The first thing that we probably really want to review here is the field of view. It is a little wider than the other cameras. You'll see in this review, I've rotated the camera a couple times to get a similar view, but each camera is a little bit off axis from each other, so the field of view is never quite perfect. But let's just see in this view, we got this TV on the wall kind of behind Jana, and I've got a little bit of wall there, and I'm going all the way over, and I've got quite a bit of the kick wall here. So I'm gonna go ahead and look at the AI Pro, and you can see I've got less of this wall over here, and I did get quite over to the TV behind Jana. So quite a bit more in this field of view. But as far as the image goes, during the daylight, you can see over here back in Chad and Marty's room, you know, the reflection in the water, pretty doggone good. And when I go over here, same reflection. I don't know that there's that much difference in the image. Both are really, really good images. And I will go all the way down here. Just really quickly, I'll go through the other ones here. I've got an AI turret. AI turret I threw up for review because it does not have a dome in front of it. So sometimes it looks a little bit clearer, especially at night. And we'll review that at night. But I'm going all the way back to the G5 dome. And look at the G5 dome. You know, it's not as clear back there in the water, but you know, that's a really good image. You know, during the daytime, I don't know that it's worth the price difference. Obviously, I got detections and a lot of other features, but just based off of the image quality, I don't know that there's a lot in it there. With this G5 Dome Ultra, you know, I'm seeing pretty well back in there to that tree. I can see Marty over there in his room. You know, that reflection of that tree looks pretty doggone good. I can tell what it is. If somebody was going to come in here and try and steal something or do something that I wanted to check out, I'm pretty confident in that G5 Dome Ultra, and that's at 1/4 the price of the G6 Pro Dome. Got the Turret Ultra here. I'll go ahead and also bring up the G6 Dome. Also a beautiful image. You know, I can see the ripples and the reflection of the tree back there in the lake. Everything looks really, really good. But there is one more party trick of the G6 Pro Dome. So let's just say that this area right here on Darian's desk is super important. Let's just say it was a jewelry case, or I'm an optometrist that has expensive frames that I want to make sure that nobody steals, you know, the Ray-Bans or Oakleys or whatever they are in this expensive case. So if I wanted to on this, I got this little extra plus button down here, which controls the zoom. And I'm gonna zoom all the way in, and let's just pretend that this area of Darian's desk is that jewelry case per se. It takes a second for it to focus in, but now that I'm in here, I get to zoom in on stuff and I can really see great detail here. Like I can see that says hand sanitizer. And I don't know how that's going to translate on YouTube, but I really have a ton of detail in here. I can see this electrician's screwdriver and this, you know, bullet level in really good detail. I can see the Ziploc bag. I mean, just really fine detail if I zoom in on things in that zoom. I would not get that same quality if I submit to, let's just say, the AI Dome, and I zoomed in on the same things. So let's go in on that hand sanitizer. You know, there's just no way I can read that on that. And I really can see that detail. How much that matters to you, I don't know. I can see the wrench, but do I really know that that's a bullet level and that's a Ziploc bag? I can. I mean, I can tell it, but I can't say definitively. And you know, this Dell over here, it's just not quite as sharp. And you can see everything kind of gets that noise that it gets when you're zoomed in too far. You can kind of see it here in the desktop. You just don't get that when you're zoomed in with the G6 Pro Dome. So I'll zoom in here. There's a little noise in here, but it's not doing its little dancey thing. That's just really sharp and really beautiful. So I'm going to go in real quickly here and go into recognitions here, just so you can see what face and person recognition look like in the cameras. You can see a bunch of recognitions here. It's grabbing everybody at the desk. You can see Daniel sitting at his desk. It's picking up Chad as he walks in the office. We'll go ahead and click on one here. Here's Chad. It's grabbing him. And that's Chad walking up to Jana's desk. You can see he's over there on the side of it. He talks to her. He turns around and walks away. During the day, there's zero issue with facial recognition. You can see just, it's grabbing everybody all the time. So really no news is good news there. Nothing really to report. You can see it grab Jana walking around the corner there. Those are a couple of difficult ones where they're at the edges of the screen. It just grabs them, no problem. You can see Gina was only in frame there for a couple of feet. It grabbed her, no problem. Just really quickly, I'm going to go through each image again. I'll bring it up on the screen. I'll leave it there for a second, and I'll take it down. Just if you want to freeze frame any of these and see what they look like just in general. You can see there that Adam is grabbing Jana and Daniel. I'll turn on the overlays here as well so you can see Daniel being recognized. It's not presenting his face. He's walking around, grabbing his person, and then it grabs his face right there. Yeah, just as you would assume. Really good. Then we'll go all the way back to the G5 Dome. This is the oldest one. Freeze there for a second. You can take a look at that. Then we'll go to the Dome Ultra, next to one up in the price. I really do feel like this is a great, if you don't need the AI, I really feel like this image is really nice during the day. If you're looking for during the day price, and you don't need AI detections, I think this is a really, really good camera. G5 turret, if you don't need the dome form factor, again, really good performance for the price. And last but not least, the G6 dome. Also, beautiful image, really nice. So that's it during the day. The two features that I will kind of go back and mention again here on the G6 Pro Dome is the width of the image and the ability to use this zoom. So with that, let's see how they do at night. All right, so this is an interesting example. This is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it is not either light nor dark. The blinds are all drawn in the office, and you can see it's right on the edge of where things are going to go to IR. As a matter of fact, unless I force that to, it will kind of go into IR on auto. So this is kind of that spot where you're right on the edge. And I think it's an interesting comparison here because as you look at the different images, you can see that the larger sensor here just has more color and contrast in the image here. So if you look at them all together here, you can see this green over here. It's a little bit more pale here, and it's a little bit more pale on all of them. And then this is the G5 Dome. It's the oldest one. You can just see there's just a lack of detail and clarity in here. And they kind of, as you go up in the kind of quality and the time frame of the sensor, they get clearer and clearer as we go. The closest comparison, I think, is really the AI dome. And this is a really nice image, but you can see there's some darkness down here. But, honestly, I can kind of see what's going on there. It's not a bad image. But when I go to the G6 Pro Dome, it's just, there's more light in there. You just obviously can see there's more light in there. And not only is there more light, you can just see the color. Look at the red in the bag there. There's just more to it there. Now, honestly, I think, you might be splitting hairs at this point. Because, this AI turret, that's a really nice image. I mean, I'm not going to be upset with that, but you can just see the quality difference as we go up in the generations here. And honestly, there's almost no red in that image in the G5 Dome. But, let's go to the G5 Pro Ultra, which I think is a great little sensor. I mean, it's doing a pretty good job. And I don't know that there's that much in it. You can see more graininess in here. You can see it's not as, as sensitive of the sensor as the G6 Pro Dome is. The graininess kind of, it renders itself better, I would say. I mean, there's still graininess there, but it's a better image, any way you look at it. And so I'll just go through them all really quickly. Dome Ultra, same thing. Not a horrible image, but quite a bit of noise in it. G6 Dome, better, but not as good as the Pro. Obviously, you can just see these square pixelations of noise. And the Vigor image sensor just does a better job of rendering that noise. That noise is just, it's smaller and there's more detail. I can see that highlighter just very, very vividly there. I'll go back to the G6 again. I mean, it's nice. I can see the highlighter there. It's just more vivid in the in the Pro Dome. And AI turret there, not nearly as much vividness in that one. I hope that translates well to YouTube, but you can freeze frame each one of those and look at them individually and make your own decision. But there is obviously better performance with the G6 Pro Dome when there is ambient light available. You know, over here in the details in these boxes, another area you'll see it, or over there into the rack area. And you can see the G5 Dome there just did its transition over into IR, which it will do. It just can't quite handle that low level light as well as the others. But anyways, you know, that's completely non-scientific, but you know, to your eye, I think there is quite a bit of difference there at this time of day with the G6 Pro Dome. So I'm gonna wait a little bit. We'll come back in a few hours and we'll review them at night. All right, so this is probably the part of the video you wanted to see all along. And good news, I think you're gonna be very happy with the results. We're gonna test all of these domes at night, and we're gonna go through the special features of the G6 Pro Dome. So here we have them all together. All of the IR is off on all of the different cameras. All look pretty similar here. I'm getting a little bit flatter image here out of the AI turret, and I'm getting a little bit more contrast out of the G6 Pro Dome. You can see, like with everything, the G5 Dome is the least sensitive to light here. It's the darkest image, and they all kind of ramp up from there. But none of them have their IR emitter on at this point, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn all the IR emitter in the G6 Pro Dome. I'll leave it here for 1 second so you can see it without the IR emitter. It really is getting a lot of detail in here. There might be some phantom light in here. There is a light on this side of the building that is always on. It's a very dim light. You can see it in the other cameras here. This is probably a better representation of how much light is in these rooms. It's not much. It's very faint, but there are some phantom lights that are on all the time. You can see the little LEDs on the TVs as well. That's on the back side of the TVs, and they leak a little light there. But anyways, that is everything with all IR emitters off. And let's go into the G6 Pro Dome and turn its IR emitter on. Now, I will tell you, the biggest issue I have with domes, and UniFi has not been immune to this, is the amount of reflection inside the dome that you get when you turn on the IR emitter. And it's really been kind of a deal breaker for me in certain situations. But let's go ahead and turn on this emitter and see what we get. And I am very happy to tell you that there is almost no reflection. When Daniel originally put this camera up against this wall, I was like, let's fire it up and see what it looks like, but we might need to move it because closer you get to a wall, the more that dome reflection starts to get in the way. But as you can see here, this is a very, very clear image here with the dome. And this is the turret just using the light now. Obviously, I only have the light on the dome, but you can see that it's clearer in through the dome with the IR emitters on the dome than the turret is, you know, with the light not even on the turret. And I will show you in comparison here. I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the emitter here. My AI dome has never been the best when it comes to the IR with the LED. It makes just a strange this. You know, if you see that, so I have a little latency here. I'm actually reporting this at my house and not at the office, but you can see this haze. That is a dome haze, and that is probably from a fingerprint in it or just the dome itself. But you can see, I'll go ahead and turn that emitter back off again, turn this one back on, and just for comparison's sake, you are not going to see any of that IR haze. It looks just amazing. Its IR emitter is really strong. I'm getting a nice field of view throughout the office here. It says 40 meters, I believe that, but this is a really, really nice image. And I think, you know, its competition is going to be with these AI cameras. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it off again here, but I'll go all the way back in time to a G5 dome and just show you, you know, comparison of, you know, way far back generations to where we are today. Let's go ahead and turn on the emitter in the G5 dome. The emitter is just weaker and it's just not as high a quality. Now, this G5 dome does a nice job of rendering an image. That image looks really good. And honestly, if I was using this G5 dome, or when I am using this G5 dome, because I have several of them throughout the office, there's usually another one in this corner, another one in this corner, another one in this corner, and they're lighting up everything with the IR. So the fact that it only throws that far is not that big of a deal in my install, but it could be in yours. And so, you know, it's just a order of magnitude difference here in this new generation of not only sensors, but of IR emitters as well. And here is the second thing. And I think, you know, It may not make a difference to you in your installation, but there are going to be certain people that really are going to like this feature is the zoom. And I'll go ahead and zoom in all the way. Now, obviously, I haven't really aimed this camera at anything, but there's a lot of things in this office that you can look as for details. But let's go zoom in on this bag. And you can just see in this bag, this is a bullet level and a electrician screwdriver. And you can see the detail of that bag. If you had something that you needed to see both far and near and you wanted to zoom this camera in, it really is quite amazing. If I zoom in on any of these boxes, this all-in-one, I can even see the white writing on the NFC brother printer there, just sharp as can be. Indo Partners of Florida, I can read everything on everything here. So if you did need that level of optical zoom, it really is quite amazing. And then if I zoom back out again, I still get that great image with all the throw. And just like the daytime, I'm getting all of that crispy sharpness with the zoom that we've come to know and love from the pro version of the bullets. I'll zoom in on Dustin over here. If you need that level of zoom, let's just say you had some important piece of equipment that you were a little bit further away from, or something that was of high value, you're looking at a jewelry case or something, the ability to use that zoom may be of some value to you, and it is really quite nice. The bigger sensor here is just doing a really, really nice job of resolving all that stuff. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the AI turret emitter here and show you what the AI turret looks like against it there. I think ultimately the AI turret is probably the most competition to the G6 Pro dome because it doesn't have the dome, so it's got a little leg up there, and it is a relatively big sensor. But even here, you can just see this noise. The noise on the AI turret is more pronounced than the noise is here on the G6 Pro dome. You can see I'm not seeing any distortion over here. I'm not getting any grain in this image. It is just sharp as it can be. I hope the image comes across clearly and there's high enough quality on YouTube so you can see the difference there. But to my eye, this is just a much nicer sensor. But to that end, it also comes with a higher price. I'm going to go back here because I had a few detections that came through. And I'm going to go down to the cleaning crew came through yesterday. And you can clearly see the crew. I can clearly identify him. No tearing, no crazy anomalies there in the image. And I've got another one. It was a little bit more light out. You can see there's some light coming through the back there, but you can clearly see Marty walking in here to look for something in the office. And if you know Marty, you can pretty much identify Marty from that. Completely unscientific there, but real world use case of what the camera looks like with detections. If somebody walks right up to it, it's obviously going to be a lot easier to identify them. Just for details though, I will go back here and show you what those detections look like in the AI dome. Also, not a bad image, but a little bit more ghosty. All right, so that's the G6 Pro dome at night. The big story for me is the dome does not have a haze on it. The clarity through the dome is really, really nice. B, the sensor is really nice, very clear, low noise, good performance in low light. And C, the zoom is a very nice feature if you need to zoom in on something. The clarity and crispness of the lens with it zoomed in is going to be superior to anything else that UniFi has ever made. So really happy with the nighttime performance. You're gonna have to decide whether the performance is worth the price for you. But if you need a high performing, low light zoom lens, this is a really good option. All right, so that's it for the G6 Pro Dome. This is a really cool camera. It might not be the camera for everybody, but I think for a certain few, this is going to be a really nice camera. So just as we thought, this is going to be the low light beast. This is going to be a camera that's going to do better in low light than any other dome camera is going to do. So if you need a dome camera and you need low light, this may be the camera for you. Also, if you need the zoom is a really nice feature. If you have a little bit further distance that you need to cover something, or you have a high value asset that you really want the most detail on, I think this camera really offers a lot for you in that situation. So is it worth $100 more than the AI Dome or more than $200 more than the G6 Dome? That's really going to be a call for you. As always, when I design a system, there may be spots where I want certain cameras with certain additional features and other spots where I am a little bit more value driven. If you check out the NVR Instant Kit that I did with my brother-in-law a couple weekends ago, you'll notice that we used a bunch of G5 Kurt Ultras, and then we mixed and matched the G6 cameras where we thought they were necessary. So having this camera and the other cameras in the ecosystem, it lets you design a system where you're paying for the cameras and functions where you need them, and being able to save money where you can put a more value-driven camera in other parts of your install. So as always, if you have any questions or comments, please put them down below. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video.